Okay, it's rap packed to my pulse flat. We keep it real, no false rap. I got 4 cars and they all black. Got 4 bras and they all that. We call that ballin'. Doing this is my calling. Flow is so appalling. My phone off and she calling. I'm like, yeah.
What's going on, internet, and welcome back to Nth-Level Entertainment, the most awesome series, comic book and movie related YouTube channel in South Africa. I am your host, Z the Entertainer, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler review for Avengers Infinity War. Okay, now this is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I suggest that you go and see it first and then come back later and click on this video, because I'm going to be going through a lot of detail. Directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, same guys who brought you Captain America Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War, now bring you the final episode of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's third phase. This was a lot of fan service. We're now like tying a bow on the story that was started from Iron Man 1 in 2008. Everything that was teased from there, from all the post-credit scenes, everything from Nick Fury actually putting the team together. We now see the real reason why a team like this is needed. Thanos is that threat. From the jump, we basically start off from where Thor Ragnarok ended off, where we're on the Asgardian ship. There's a couple of things there, because you know it's a bit forward in time as far as where we end off in Thor Ragnarok to where things start off in Avengers Infinity War. Because there's a couple of characters we don't see there. We don't see the Valkyrie. We don't see Korg and Neek. We don't know what happened to them. So the assumption is that some of them maybe escaped with some other Guardians. Because by the time we actually get into the scene, Thanos is already on the ship and all hell is broken loose. The biggest highlight there is Loki's death scene. It was very gut-wrenching, but before that moment, he has a line in the movie that is a very big indicator of how we have now come full circle in the story, where he's actually facing off against Thanos, and Thanos is demanding the time stone from him. And he says the line that Tony Stark said to him, he says, "We have a Hulk," and right there, Hulk jumps out. Now at this moment, right, I was pretty sure that Hulk was at least gonna have a victory in that moment, because the setup was just so awesome. It got us so excited the way Loki introduced him, and he literally jumps over him and just attacks Thanos and starts pummeling until we hear the Ebony Maw say to Supergiant, "Let him have his fun." At that moment, I looked at the screen like, yo, what? And just then, we just see Thanos taking Hulk's hands off his throat and giving him the whooping of a lifetime. As a Hulk fan, I actually felt it for him. He whooped him so bad that he knocked him out. He didn't turn back into Banner. It was just Hulk knocked out. That was a defeat he's probably never ever suffered. From a writing standpoint, I think that was where the screenplay writers were actually trying to sort of make the statement that, okay, you know, Thanos is a real threat. That was the biggest way to actually see him show how much of a problem he's going to be throughout the movie, by actually defeating the Avengers' most powerful member. From there, we jump into New York, where we actually see Hulk crash into the Sanctum Sanctorum. This was a big moment because now we actually get to see the Hulk, Bruce Banner interact with Doctor Strange and Wong, which directly leads to Doctor Strange meeting up with Tony Stark. The East Coast versus West Coast of douchebags. It's Doctor Strange and Tony Stark. This is one that I think a lot of the fans were actually waiting to meet, and things pop off right from the beginning. Especially when Doctor Strange actually calls Tony Stark a douchebag. And Tony Stark says to him that he's special gift is making baboon animals for kids. And quickly after that, the Ebony Maw comes through, looking for the time stone from Doctor Strange. And we finally get to see Tony Stark's bleeding edge armor. You know, the transformation of it was teased in the trailers quite a bit. We saw some snippets of it here and there, but we now actually got to see it in its full glory. And the armor like this has been done in the comics. Apparently, the difference is that in the comics, the nanoparts actually come out of Tony's body in some way, something like out of his blood cells or something along those lines. But in this one, it looked as though he had the artificial arc reactor in his chest, which was sort of like a storehouse or a warehouse for those nanoparts to actually come from. Yeah, from there the fight ensues. Spider-Man joins the fight, and he then gets taken away in Thanos' ship, the ship that Ebony-Maw and Supergiant came in, and he goes up into space, and that's where we see the Iron Spider, which is also another big thing that was like, you know, highly anticipated in the movie. The very same armor that he was offered in Spider-Man Homecoming but declined was now used in Avengers Infinity War, and it was confirmed that it's the Iron Spider armor later on, where he actually saves one of the Guardians, I think, and the arms actually come out of his back. Of course, Thor meeting the Guardians in the aftermath of the Asgardian ship being blown up. That was pretty cool as well. We got to see Drax doing his usual comedy thing, saying, you know, this is not a dude, you're a dude. This is a man. It's like a pirate made love with an angel. I've said before in my Guardians of the Galaxy 2 review, I don't like the fact that Drax has been relegated to mostly comedy relief, because that's not what the character is supposed to be as far as what I know him from the comics. But yeah, he was doing his thing. He was at least consistent to what character he played in the previous Guardians movies. We of course get to see Thor go off with Rocket and Groot to go get the Stormbreaker hammer, which is another big thing that people were, you know, curious about as to what's going to happen in the movie with regards to that. So this movie, in a lot of ways, you could say Thanos was the protagonist in this movie, because the movie very much centered around him. I think the Russos drew a lot of inspiration from the Thanos Quest storyline in the comics, in terms of how they shaped the story. They made some changes here and there, especially with regards to Thanos' motivation for doing what he does, because as we know from the trailer, he wants to wipe out half of the life in the universe, and that is also consistent to the comics, but the twist comes in that he views it as more as some sort of a nature conservationist campaign that is going on, because, you know, there's just too much life in the universe as far as he's concerned. So wiping out half the life will actually not exhaust the resources that the universe is currently dwindling on because of how much life there is in the universe. So in the comics, his motivation is that he wants to impress Lady Death by wiping out half of the universe. So that's understandable as far as, you know, making him more relatable, because I mean, as much as it's still a ridiculous you know, goal for one to achieve, but the motivations are at least more logical than just one wanting to impress someone by wiping out half of the universe. He looked more like, you know, a politician who believes he's right but is doing the wrong thing to achieve his goals. So that made him a more relatable villain, which is something people have been calling for in the MCU for a very long time. So that made him, gave him that quality as a villainous character in the movie. And he was, of course, like I said before, he was well set up as far as being a threat in him defeating Hulk in the very first 2 minutes of the movie. So that was one of the highlights as well of the movie. We also get to go back to Wakanda, because we also meet up with Vision and Scarlet Witch, who are on vacation, and they are met up with Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, 2 of the members of the Black Order, who are also known as Thanos' children. They are basically like his main henchmen who do his bidding. In this case, they were the ones who were actually rounding up the Infinity Stones. And they meet up with Scarlet Witch and the Vision because they want the Mind Stone, which is in Vision's head, as we've seen in the trailer. So that's when the Secret Avengers intervene, and we now see Captain America again and Black Widow. And an awesome fight scene comes through where they fight Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive and whoop their asses. And we also hear the original Avengers score during that fight scene. That was a pretty awesome moment as well. And then later on Titan, we also see Iron Man meeting up with Star-Lord. I don't like how Star-Lord was portrayed in this movie. You know, he was very emotional based on what happened. I mean, I get it. Yes, he's in love with Gamora and everything, but okay, I guess as a character, you can't expect him to react in any other way. But unfortunately, in the context of this movie, it painted him in such a weak light compared to how he was portrayed in the previous Guardians movies, you know. So he ended up being like, you know, like sort of the weaker link in the chain. in the greater Avengers team now in Infinity War with all the ensemble cast we put together. Because he was the one who was the cause of them losing the gauntlet. They almost got it from Thanos. If he hadn't found out that Thanos had to kill Gamora to get the Soul Stone. So that was a big letdown as far as how that character was portrayed in Infinity War compared to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and 1. But nonetheless, it was another one of the big moments. It was during a very big fight scene where Thanos just whoops everybody's ass on Titan as he gets the time gem from Doctor Strange. And then we finally get to the final battle scene in Wakanda, where Thor now has his Stormbreaker armor and makes an epic intro in Wakanda when he calls the Bifrost by himself using Stormbreaker. We just see Stormbreaker coming out and taking out a lot of those Outriders. And Thor comes out shouting, "Bring me Thanos!" You know, we see the payoff in that moment for him through his development in Thor Ragnarok, as you know, he lost Mjolnir very early in the movie, and he eventually learns how to actually harness the true power that he had within him, to him finally getting the weapon in this movie. So that was a great scene, epic battle scene, where we see Captain America and Black Panther ahead of the charge in that scene, where they took on the Outriders ahead of everybody else that was behind them. That was pretty cool. All leading up to the culmination of that huge, epic, insane comic book moment that we see not only in the comics but at the end of this movie as well, where Thanos does the iconic finger snap that takes out half the life in the universe. We see a lot of characters supposedly die. You know, one of those moments that satisfied a lot of theories that were building up to leading up to this movie about, you know, who's gonna die, who's not gonna die. Wow, man. Yeah, it was like it was the most unexpected cliffhanger I've ever seen in any MCU movie, which just marks the turning point that the Russos promised as to and Kevin Feige as to what direction the MCU is going to go from now on. Things that, like, you know, this was a very big statement to show that things are now going to change. We see Spider-Man die. We see Vision die twice. My God. Because what happens is, before Thanos finally gets the Mind Stone from Vision, Scarlet Witch actually tries to destroy him to keep Thanos from getting the Mind Stone. And she succeeds, right, while holding back Thanos as he's just laying waste to the rest of the Avengers. When she finally does so, Thanos simply sympathizes with her, saying that he knows how she's feeling right now. He's been where she's at. And then he uses the time gem to bring Vision back to life, only to actually kill him again in a much more gruesome manner. So Vision dies twice. We see Scarlet Witch die, I think. She turns to dust after the finger snap. We see Spider-Man die. We see Black Panther die. We see Peter Quill die. We see Groot die. I think we see Rocket die as well. We see Drax die. And yeah, man, like, I think it's mostly just the original Avengers that are actually left. Even going to the post-credit scene, we see Nick Fury die in the post-credit scene after he actually calls Captain Marvel. Like, you know, through an old school 90s page, which I think was an Easter egg to the Captain Marvel movie itself, because apparently it's going to be set in the 90s. So that was pretty clever writing, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, so obviously this is one of those things where, I mean, it's obvious that some of these people are going to come back, but you know, based on what we know on the upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I mean, Black Panther's going to have a sequel, Spider-Man's going to have a sequel, Spider-Man Homecoming is going to have a sequel, and apparently Gamora is going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Apparently this has been confirmed, so, you know, she's going to come back, but nonetheless, it was quite an epic cliffhanger to actually leave a movie on, especially a movie of this magnitude. But after all that happens, we see Thanos, you know, sitting down on a farm type thing, you know, at the sunset, looking on a grateful universe, just like he said he would in the middle of the movie, with a very fulfilled smile on his face. And that wraps up my spoiler review for Avengers Infinity War. So it was a great movie. Look, as far as ratings go, my only gripe is how the Hulk's defeat at the hands of Thanos was handled. especially its aftermath in terms of how he behaved throughout the rest of the movie. I mean, look, we know that Hulk is fearless, okay, fair enough. He's never been outright defeated in a fight before, and maybe that was a shock to him. But the way he reacted to that defeat was, you know, it kind of, it's something that's irredeemable, you know, to the character, in that he suffered defeat in such a bad manner, you know. According to interviews that have been conducted with the Russos after this movie, apparently, as far as they were concerned, they were trying to depict the culmination of the Hulk and Bruce Banner's relationship, as far as the Hulk feels used by Banner, in that he only needs him, he only wants him around when there's a fight to be won, and like in that way he's using him. So this was his moment to finally say no to him. But that doesn't fly with me, you know, when I actually watch the movie, because how it reads to me is that, you know, he was beaten up and he had some sort of PTSD because he suffered defeat, and it's something that he's never, you know, experienced before, and he's now fearful, and it broke him. You know, that's the only way to read it when you actually watch the movie without the explanation. So I don't know, but that's my biggest gripe with the movie. And as far as ratings, I give it, just because of that, I give it 9 Infinity Gauntlet out of 10. Yeah, that was enough for me to knock it down the peg. Otherwise, the movie was perfect. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend that you go and see it. It's been about 2 weeks since I actually saw it now. I thought enough time has passed for me to post up a spoiler review. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go and see it. See it in IMAX 3D if you can. It's well worth it. The effects are just brilliant. It's a visual spectacle to behold. It's really worth going out to the cinema and watching. So yeah, post your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Let me know if whatever you like, what predictions you had for who's gonna die in the movie came true or not. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the thumbs up icon and leave us a like. If you'd like to see more from Nth-Level Entertainment, please click subscribe, and please click on the bell icon so you are notified each and every time I drop new content on this channel. Once again, people, thank you very much for joining me. Stay awesome, take care of each other to infinity and beyond.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. If you want to see some more from us, click here or click here.